continue to read Genesis chapter 33. And Jacob lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, Esau came, and with him 400 men. And he divided the children unto Leah and unto Rachel and unto 2 handmaids. And he put the handmaids and their children foremost, and Leah and her children after, and Rachel and Joseph hindermost. We're coming back to this. There's definitely some feelings there, but let's continue. And he passed over before them and bowed himself to the ground 7 times until he came near to his brother. And Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he lifted up his eyes and saw the women and the children and said, Who are those with thee? And he said, The children which God hath graciously given thy servant. Then the handmaidens came near, they and their children, and they bowed themselves. And Leah also with her children came near and bowed themselves. And after came Joseph near and Rachel, and they bowed themselves. And he said, What meanest thou by all this drove which I met? And he said, These are to find grace in the sight of my Lord. And Esau said, I have enough, my brother, keep that thou hast unto thyself. And Jacob said, Nay, I pray thee, if now I have found grace in thy sight, then receive my present at my hand. For therefore I have seen thy face, as though I had seen the face of God, and thou wast pleased with me. Take, I pray thee, my blessing that is brought to thee, because God hath dealt graciously with me, and because I have enough. And he urged him, and he took it. And he said, Let us take our journey, and let us go, and I will go before thee. And he said unto him, My Lord knoweth that the children are tender, and the flocks and herds with young are with me. And if men should overdrive them one day, all the flock will die. Let my Lord, I pray thee, pass over before his servant, and I will lead on softly, according as the cattle that goeth before me, and the children be able to endure, until I come unto my Lord, unto Seir. And Esau said, Let me now leave with thee some of the folk that are with me. And he said, What needeth it? Let me find grace in the sight of my Lord. So Esau returned that day on his way unto Seir. And Jacob journeyed to Succoth, and built him an house, and made booths for his cattle. Therefore the name of the place is called Succoth. And Jacob came to Shalem, a city of Shechem, which is in the land of Canaan, when he came from Paddan Aram, and pitched his tent before the city. And he brought a parcel of a field where he had spread his tent at the hand of the children of Hamor, Shechem's father, for 100 pieces of money. And he erected there an altar and called it Elohi Israel. Elohi Israel. Okay. So, what happened? Remember, he started dividing up his family in the previous chapter, right? Well, now we know how he divided them. He sent the maids, his women, handmaids first with their children. Remember, both Leah and Rachel had given him their handmaiden as to bear children. And then Leah and her children, and then Rachel and her child Joseph. It was last. Because remember, he really, really loved Rachel. So there some feelings, some thoughts and some feelings in there. I'm going to leave that to you. I'm going to leave that to you. I want you to pray about it. I want you to think about that. In his mind, what was going on with the whole situation, all of the drama, especially in the humanistic world. We live in the humanistic world, right? We live here on earth, and all the drama and all bringing past to present, thinking about it. What would you do? And so with that though, Esau, what was his reaction? Remember, Jacob prayed to the Lord. Do you believe from the previous chapter to this chapter? Remember, he had 400 men with him. Do you believe that it had an effect? Let's see. And Esau ran to 33:4, and Esau ran to meet him and embraced him and fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. I think, yeah, I think absolutely. I think the Lord moved Esau's heart. Absolutely. Now, we can also look at it in time. Both were younger. They weren't as mature as they are now. They hadn't gone through things in life to learn. Look at what Jacob had to go through. Remember, at first he knew he was loved by his mother, right? And he knew he was loved by his father too, just like his twin brother. But he also received things like the birthright and the firstborn rights because Esau threw them away. He didn't care for them in such a way that it was like, was he kind of careless? Like, did he just live a life just, I'm here, I do my thing. I'm in one day, out the next. And look at Jacob. From one time, yeah, I know how to cook. I know how to do these things and everything, to now he himself having to work for things and struggle and have a struggle that he didn't feel like he had any reason to have. And boom, so I feel like there's a lesson from each one. Each one had to go through things. Each one had to learn. And yes, Esau was blessed too. He had children. He had things, so much so that he wasn't in need of things. But there was one thing missing, and that was his brother, his twin brother. That brother and that family, that love. So think about that. Bringing past to present. Like I mentioned, sometimes you can be in a relationship and you can have an argument. You can have a situation. And the best thing to do at all times is bring it before the Lord and then allow the Lord, hear from the Lord and from his guidance and his all-knowing wisdom. And let a revelation be revealed to you. Before we go on, though, what kind of thoughts or feelings come to your mind when we read over this? How does it make you feel and what does it make you think?